Do you want to build your own computer, but you don't know what components you should use or what type of graphics card or CPU or motherboard you will need without actually building it yourself? Then you've just come to the right video. Yo, what's going on, guys? Ryan or SabingViper here, and today I'm going to be talking about... That was long. That was so fast. Okay. Yo, what's going on, guys? Ryan or SabingViper here, and today I'm going to be talking about an ultimate guide. Not an ultimate, not a good, just a guide on how to get all the components for your PC that you're going to make. Or you just want to know what components you should get. Or like you're just curious on what this is and stuff, because I would be as well. So let's get into it. So the main bulk of it is the motherboard. As you guys know, you need a motherboard. Basically, that's the mother, as suggested in the name, if you couldn't tell. So the type of motherboards we've got, they come in all size form factors. We've got mini ITX, micro ATX, ATX, and eATX. Now, can I just say this before we get into this? Do not go for an eATX, an extended ATX, unless you're doing this for business or really intensive production work, or doing it for servers. You will not need an extended ATX. Please get away. Nothing to be seen. Okay, so hopefully I cleared that up. And with the motherboards, you get certain functions with them, as if with some ATX come with a two-way SLI, which allows for two graphics cards to be installed with an SLI bridge, or a mini ITX with Wi-Fi. They'll all be linked in the description below. Hopefully I got that. And so the motherboard has to link with the graphics card, the case, of course, the memory, the power supply, the hard drive, the optical drive, basically everything. And so before we get into it, there are certain socket types for certain motherboard. Some motherboards use an ATX Intel or ATX AMD, or same old, both of them together. But it's really rare, so don't bank on it. So if you're going for a motherboard, please make sure you get a motherboard that is compatible with the CPU that I'm going to talk about right now. So there are two leading brands with CPUs. You've got AMD, which is a really big company, and Intel, which is another really big company. And if you were going for an eATX, an extended ATX motherboard, then you'll be looking at an Intel i7 6800K, which is the best thing at the moment, I would say, for like only $600 or something. Yeah, pretty expensive, but it is going to be the main bulk, one of the main bulk of the component. And so with like the AMD and Intel, note AMD CPU have backwards compatibility to the motherboard. So if you've got an old AMD in a new motherboard, it will work fine, guys. Please note to self, do that. Mother, note to self, AMD CPU has a backwards compatibility to the hard drive, but not the motherboard to the hard drive. To the motherboard, to the CPU. Dearest. Adios. Okay, that out of the way. Just push it. you've got the two things, and they need to be fanned. The overclocked Intel cards will not come with a stock cooler, but the CPUs like the Intel i7 6700, not overclocked, will come with a stock cooler, which I suggest throwing out unless you're going for a low profile build. And so you need to cool that baby. And you've got two types of cooling systems. You've got air cool, which is going to be which is going to be a real saver for your money, or a water cool solution, which is going to be more expensive, but it's going to cool more than an air. But you got to, when you're talking about coolers, you got to actually make sure it's got the right socketing for the motherboard. You can just have a quick check on both the motherboard website and the both of the brand websites to see if they both have compatibility to each other. Make sure. And it needs to be high enough, or it needs to be lower than the case. So we're going to be talking about the cases, like sizes. So you've got the micro ATX. Now, please note, it's not the same, guys. The motherboards thing is different to the mini or the micro or the ATX. They are two different things, so do not get into it unless you want to. Then this is gonna be a long video. Yeah. So basically, it's either you want a small and compact, which you're gonna be looking at a mini ITX case, which is basically a mini ITX motherboard in it, or not pre-stock, sorry. Or you're going to be looking at a micro ATX, which is going to be a box shape or a longwards shape, which is going to be smaller than the ATX mid-tower. Yes, the ATX mid-tower will provide most with ATX cards, most of it, and you won't need to worry about that if you're looking into that. So all the links that I've said to at the moment will be in the description. The micro ATX, the ATX Intel, the ATX AMD, the ATX two-way SLI, the mini ITX, the ATX, the mini ITX with Wi-Fi, the CPU, the Intel i7 6700K, the AMD FX 6300, the Intel i680 6800K, and the 3 cases, the micro ATX case, the mini ATX, and the ATX mid tower, which is going to be an NZXT, because I'm from New Zealand and I just want to show love to anything that's got NZ into it. Sorry, that's just me, but you guys don't need to worry about that. And another height concern, forgot to say, if you got LEDs in the case, check with the motherboard if it's got an extra slot for the LEDs. Please check. I do not want no LED basically cards and stuff. So basically another height issue it could be, or the size issue, is the graphics card. Now you may be thinking like, oh, why is that? Because some of the graphics card can either be too high or too long, as if e.g. the Asus ROG GTX 1080. That is tremendously long, and it probably won't fit in with my case that I've got. even though it should. But if you're looking for cheap and small ones, AMD have got you covered, because AMD provides their own graphics cards as the RX collection. Nvidia have the GTX collection with the Titans. Please, if I see someone with 16 Titans in one case and like three ATX cards, I will flip the heck out, because I love Titans. If you want to guys see like a video on the if you guys want to see a video on the graphics cards that I'm talking about, there's going to be a link to Hardware Canucks. There's going to be a link to Hardware Canucks in the description below if you guys want to check his review on the with the Nvidia Titan X video. So, as I said, so these are the ones that probably are going to fit most of it. It's going to be the EVGA GTX 1060. Please get the 1060. No other, just the EVGA 1060. It's going to be small enough. It's really small, so you don't need to worry with most builds. And make sure you get the MSI RX 480 or the RX 480 stock. And so we're going to be talking about the memory and how that can... Oh yeah, just saying. The socket with the graphics card does have a connection to the motherboard. Please check it out before you actually buy it as well. The memory. So if you get a motherboard, it's gonna be either DDR3 or DDR4, depending on what you got, or maybe DDI2. So what I suggest is you go over to the guys at Kingston HyperX Fury and grab one of their kits, or you can go for a low profile kit from another company. I can't remember it at this time. I'm going to throw a link into it. And please check it is the right socket and how much sockets you got on the motherboard itself, because it will tell you, and you will see if it's got 4 2 sockets. Now the hard drive. The hard drives need to be connected up to the power supply, the motherboard, and you have to have enough bays for the case. Basically, if you're getting a case, you have to look at, if you're getting an SSD, you're going to be looking at if it's got a 2.5-inch bay, or if you're getting a hard drive, a 3.5-inch bay. But if you're like me and like external hard drives but don't have one, well then you should probably look into that, but you will need an SSD or a hard drive in your system for it to run. Please, I don't want to see that again as well. Okay, and another thing is basically how you're going to get juice. And that's the power supply. Which is the power supply? You've got certain types of watt outputs, as like 500, 600, 800, 1000 or 1200. I don't care. It's just a lot of wattage. Now you will need to go through each of them and check out how much wattage you will need. I normally like to keep 100 over wattage if I overclock my stuff. And the type of wattages I just said, and it is going to be either white, bronze, or gold 1 or gold 2 is a type. They will or platinum, you will need to check the certification on it. I would say stick to EVGA. That's the most biggest brand for it. Also, it basically has to link up with every other thing. But here's the thing. Your graphics card will be needing certain pin outputs, as such 6 pin output and all the other stuff. So you need to make sure your power supply can handle it. So another thing, if you're like me and got like a stupid ton of discs, you will need an optical drive. Now, this is not optional with newer stuff, but because basically more stuff are being online, but not than on discs now. But still, it's still good to have a optical drive, so if someone gives you a CD, you can still play it. Please, I still play Fallout 3 and The Sims 3 on my optical drive. It does not need that much power as well. So make sure your case has enough bays for it. Please check that. I do not want to be held responsible for that stuff. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed it. And this is basically all the stuff that you need to keep into account when you're thinking of getting all the components. If you guys want to see how to build the PCs, you guys can search it up for yourself, and I'll drop a few links into to one of my favorite YouTubers. You guys can see how they do it, because I'm not doing it for you guys, because I don't have a camera that is good. So, yeah. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button and the subscribe button. And I want you guys to say, well, after this, I'm going to be making all the other stuff you will need, like monitors, maybe microphone, keyboard, mouse, optional mouse pad, headphones, and all that stuff. So if you guys want me to upload that, well, I'm going to upload it anyway, so you may as well hit the like button and subscribe while you're still here. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed it. I did. It is a long-ass video that I have to edit out and probably won't delete anything, so see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.